It's just a long lost look in your eyes, brings out a love that I can't disguise. So take me down to the places I've never seen. Oh, don't you try to kill me with kind. It's just your love that's driving me wild. Oh, from the dawn we rise, with the heart we cry, into the light we go, into the light we go. From the darkest night, from the fire inside, into the light we go, into the light we go, into the light we go.
We're back after one of the craziest early games we've had here in this spring split that eventually just went back into a normal game and KSV slowly taking the victory. It was an interesting one, but we are going to game number 3 here between KSV and MVP now.
Yeah, KSV stealing a Baron couldn't have come at a more fortuitous time. This is when they need to win. They need to be beating MVP. They want to ascend up the ladder or at minimum retain their spot in the top 5. We were talking and maybe presuming the death of KSV too early. They are able to rescue a game 2 that looked difficult to start. These clips start when the champions are largely above level 10, as in the early game, things were not as strong, but a team fighting comp eventually came up trumps for KSV, and this was a much better performance from them. So it's good to see that KSV are world champions, still have something about them, as CuVee found so much backline access. Never needed the ultimatum, take down the Caitlyn.
Every single time he was into that back line, and well, they banned it in game 1. Game 2, it slips through for some picks that MVP wanted as well, but you know, they also give the 4-1 Azir to crown, which is now 5-1. Lots of different picks that KSV was able to eventually use.
Oh,
looks like SportsTV Games was actually playing the mid lane there for KSV.
Wait, where's the competitive ruling on this? This seems dodgy.
Yeah, you know, I don't think you should play in your own tournament that you're broadcasting, but we'll let him slide this one time. He did a lot of damage, at least.
Hey, CJ Entus is gone, so OGN's fine now.
Yeah. SportsTV trying to make their mark as a player here. So,
we're getting a very obvious note that there was a production error on that one.
Yeah, let's see who the MVP is here. Definitely should be CuVee. Always got into that back line, made sure pilot on that Caitlyn. He had so much protection in game 1. Game 2, not so much.
Now remember, the early game was pretty comical from CuVee, so this was actually reaching back from a position where it looked like they might be out of the game. So far behind in CS, so little CS in general, but picked it up because after the Baron, there were so many free creeps to be picked up in the face of the Sion as the items came rolling. Good job by CuVee, he patrolled the fight super well, and he means in the bonus League of Legends, nothing better than a 6-match day, as we might get some Midnight League of Legends if Game 3 goes long.
Yeah, I mean, I would expect it to, especially with these two teams coming through. I think it would be our first time doing all 6 games. Maybe the second time? I don't have the stats in front of me, but it feels like it doesn't happen too often at SportsTV, especially early on. We were known for having 4-game match days and stuff like that, but now we're finally gonna get to 6. And it looks like ADD scratching his head. He's like, should I play Swain again? Maybe, Papa.
They will have last pick on the red side, but if I'm KSV, I just ban on the blue side the Swain.
Yeah, could be a good idea. Let's jump into pick and ban and see exactly what happens.
We're way into this ban phase already, and the Corky ban on blue side again. KSV saying, hey, we might roll back to Galio if we're feeling it. So will this promote a Galio ban on red side, which feels bad against KSV, but the next levels have begun so far in the draft.
Yeah, certainly thinking about that. The bar is going to be taken away from Ruler once again. Saw very similar bans from MVP the first time they were on red side. If they wanted to copy it, they would go ahead and ban Kalista once again. We haven't seen much Kalista today, Papa.
We'll be opting into a potential Xayah Rakan again for KSV, but this is the interesting one where what do you roll back? And I love this Swain ban on red side, on blue side, specifically because it would likely be last picked. And I don't think ADD has other picks. Traditionally, he's been the sort to have a very narrow champion pool. He's not known to have picks like the Swain. So seeing him recreate that with another meta-breaking pick, an Urgot, for example, is very unlikely. So they just deal with it. They say, okay, this is the problem. The Corki scaling matchup and the Swain last pick. They go for the Galio again, so they try to roll back what should on paper be a strong comp for the identity of KSV, a comp they could also use in 8.4 when the meta shifts. Let's see what MVP want to answer with. Xayah Rakan available, but it seems like so far at least, Pilot and Max not interested to go down that route.
Yeah, it seems like he's been relegated to that Caitlyn duty the whole time. Thinking about a counter pick here, a takeaway from Crown. Well, actually, they already picked the Galio.
Just a farm lane for the Azir. Similar story to the Corki, but going to be very happy to farm it up. Very frequently banned on the blue side against Galio. Oh, if you want to pick, first pick Galio, I should say. But that means that the Camille is just available for the side of KSV, and this is a true flex pick for them. So we'll probably promote a last pick top lane for the side of MVP. They did that in game one. They want to do it here as well because Haru is a high mechanics jungler who can jump onto the Camille. And just the Ezreal for Ruler. They're happy to go with the standard. Xayah Rakan going to fall through pick and ban for the first time in multiple weeks here, Valdez. Camille Galio also the guaranteed initiation duo of the Hextech Ultimatum and the Hero's Entrance. So many Hero's Entrances were skillfully avoided in game one because they had the tools to do so. Not going to be that way if the Camille comes in. And I know I'm not a huge fan of Skarner when there's this much AoE control already going on for the side of KSV. This is the sort of game where if KSV fully commit to a pylon comp with an Alistar or picks like that, how do you actually disengage? Oh, how do you actually engage as the Skarner and stop the disengage and just die in the general wombo if you're Skarner? So the level 6 is going to have to be very strong, and a snowball will have to happen for the Skarner to be a big pick. If I'm KSV, I consider banning Taric against the MVP lineup because Taric is very strong against wombo engage from Galio and the Camille, but maybe they don't feel the same level of respect.
Yeah, Poppy, another one. It's a pick that ADD can play, and even Max, and it's also good at knocking that Camille out of the way and out of that Hextech Ultimatum. So I like the ban there. Actually makes sense.
See what KSV's read is. They're trying to pinch ADD. Might just jump on the Cho'Gath this game. So Taric Cho'Gath is what I expect them to close out the draft with. Tahm Kench is another possibility. They'll just go for Tahm Kench. They don't want to go for what I was suggesting with the Taric and the ability to just try to endure through the Hextech Ultimatum and Hero's Entrance duo. Now KSV, you'd expect them to continue with the engage when they already have as reliable engage as can be, but the Alistar taken away, and I mentioned Cho'Gath, and seems like KSV is going to steal that one away, go for a very strong top laner. So interested to see what ADD's response will be. If it's just Ornn, then Cho'Gath will have a pretty happy time.
And certainly Haru can play jungle Camille. We've seen what that can do in times past. Haru definitely one of those more aggressive junglers. And hovering over that Janna now would be an interesting one. Definitely adds a bit more CC, but also a nice bot lane Ezreal Janna there.
Also a big note button for the Skarner. In most cases, many ways to disengage. And I think ADD is pinched. I think Ornn is probably really only this thing that's left for him. It's going to be locked in, so we'll be Ornn top lane here for MVP. MVP have a bit of a mishmash. They have a pretty good siege comp with the Azir and the Caitlyn Tahm Kench, and Ornn to threaten, but Skarner's role in this game seems to just be noped at every moment. There's lots of abilities and lots of champions that he will find it very difficult to gap close on, and then he just might get feasted if he tries to get in with the silence and the feast from the Cho'Gath. So sort of draft where you feel like Skarner's much less set up for success and already a pick that has had low success in the LCK. Meanwhile, let's see if KSV can actually execute on a Galio comp. They were not able to in game one. Very different draft. No Zyra Khan this time. The jungle Camille is coming through for Haru. KSV, much preferred draft here compared to game one, but the execution was not there for them in game one. Can they actually do it in game three?
I like their draft. I think overall it's better than what we see out of the side of MVP, but can KSV prove to us all that, hey, game number one was a fluke? We ran into Swain, we weren't prepared. Took a couple of team fights down near Dragon and down bot lane that got us behind, and eventually we lost to the composition as those two carries did scale into the late game. This time, I feel like they have some really significant engage and follow-up from both Ruler and even CuVee, whereas beyond that, he's going to be really hard tasked on that Skarner to find someone to actually impale on the side of KSV.
And if it's an Ultra Tank, Ian and Pilot are going to take a long time to have the damage to puncture through as well, so a snowball draft is always possible, but looking tricky for MVP.
Yeah, definitely is, but anything could happen here going on to the Rift for game number 3 at KSV versus MVP. So we thought some of the fans went home to catch that last train, but as you guys did hear, the most passionate of them all are still here in the studio.
And the faithful on both sides are hoping to be rewarded with a big victory here. KSV for their playoff hopes and MVP for avoiding relegation. So definitely a lot on the line for both as mid laners just have a bit of a dance. We're just after a 11:15 p.m. Korean Standard Time. So if it goes 43 minutes, then we're going to be having the Midnight Dream go on. Monday Night League of Legends, or Monday Morning League of Legends, I should say, for the first time this season.
Oh, getting tricky here.
Getting to the first brush is always the biggest advantage you could hope for because it really helps you to set up the minion wave, and Ezreal hitting level 2 is very important.
It's a lot of information. Seeing Ruler and CoreJJ on the ward. Should know that Haru did start at the blue, but beyond starting at the red, it's going to be interesting to see if KSV did spot any weird timings with how that bot lane got into bot lane.
Definitely a very different approach by Skarner. Very often blue buff-centric, but with the Spires, it's being moved away in recent iterations of Skarner. You can actually look for a clear like this. It will throw off Haru, you'd imagine. No leash on the bot side as we saw Ruler and CoreJJ rush to lane, and that's why we see the top side star for Camille. As I actually saw CoreJJ miss a W. That's always frustrating. The Zephyr going wide.
He also stole a minion away from Ruler, just to point out some other things that CoreJJ is not doing well in this game, Papa.
But he does push up vision, and they spot the Skarner blue buff as well, but doesn't seem like there's going to be invade timing, but Haru very quickly adjusts his pathing. There is a defensive ward here for Ian.
Yeah, it's level 2, but he might still get onto him. No flash is going to be used by Haru to try to make that a thing, but he chunks down Ian, and that's pretty significant this early on in the lane.
And it's a press the attack on Haru. It's the first time we've seen this, press the attack coming through on the Camille. So the damage continues to come through. It is not 8.4, guys, so the press the attack doesn't have as much selfish bonus as it does on patch 8.4, and it's also our last 8.3. So that means some stuff will be exiting. We're about to see the last ever purchases in Korea of the Tracker's Knife.
Say goodbye, guys.
Pull one out for the Tracker's Knife. It's been there for a long time. Nobody in my solo queue games knew, so they're not changed, of course. But in competitive play, it has been a staple.
Yeah. Well, things are going to be a bit of a slow start, especially Cho'Gath versus Ornn. Definitely not your most action-packed top lane up here. As CuVee, he's like, well, I had my chance at Camille. I'll give Haru his turn.
Skarner's going to back first, so that means that it should be Haru buying the last Tracker's Knife in LCK history. Nope. He decides he wants his boots. He wants to get his Predator on.
Yeah.
The mystery continues.
We'll probably head up towards top here. As actually Haru is taking away some of the Krugs, looking to hit level 4 from here and potentially go towards top. Beyond going to be spotted here, though.
He knows now that he will not be counter-ganked, so looking on. Rupture would have hit. AD's going to get out.
Yeah. CuVee too low on mana to try to do any double flash plays and go on in on that one.
There's a pings here. Predator is going to come on. They really want to make this work. And the back is stopped there as here we go.
This might actually work. CuVee still has his flash available as perhaps I got a little bit too ahead of myself. I mean, they do get the flash out of him.
They do get the flash. ADD had to flash earlier, so it is a flash for flash trade. That's a big favor for ADD in the top side. Both the top laners in a melee versus melee matchup go grasp. Which does mean the trades will be pretty even overall, more sustained for the Cho'Gath, but the shields from ADD mean there's not expected to be a meaningful health advantage. I just think CuVee's role in team fights, if he can silence any of the priority carries, or even beyond when he's rolling in on the Skarner, his job is already mostly done.
So, Haru thinking about it once again. He's got his own flash, so he can easily land that hook shot. No knockup gonna come on in here, but ADD looks like he's in a bit of trouble. See what he can get going here. We got Skarner and Azir actually making his way up, and ADD juking and diving. He's got his Nikes on today, saying, nuh-uh, you're not gonna get me in the top lane.
That was sick. Second time he's been able to heavily outplay the members of KSV, ganking ADD on one of his trademark tanks. So difficult. The searing charge saved right to the end. Cool stuff from ADD.
Now, if only MVP could have someone like ADD, but then, you know, Ian coming in and being a big carrier, Pilot showing up big. It's kind of what happened with Rock's Tigers. You know, they had Songyun, they played around him, but MVP still struggling, looking for another player, and ADD in his own right hasn't been super consistent, just looking better in recent times.
Needs some more picks like the Swain. If he can actually be able to confidently take the role of lane aggressor, I think that would level him up. We've always known him to be a very solid tank role player. Swain, the Scion, for example, is ultra comfort. Picks like the Swain and the Gangplank and having some extra strings to his bow is what we haven't seen. That was nice.
Oh boy, Crown gonna be trapped for a long time. This might be his death here. We got the Predator Skarner going in, the flash coming in. He wants that kill, the flash forward, first blood. Ian gonna outplay Crown in the mid lane, and we're not done yet. The flash coming in, the stun, and there it is. Beyond picks up the second kill. 2 kills to 0, the side of MVP.
Ian Beyond just dunk Crown and Haru and take them out of the lane. A dumpstering there. Instant outplay by Ian. It was a least channeled from Crown. Watch the replay here. Crown goes for the aggressive trade, but it's the minimum channel on the taunt. It's 0.5 seconds. At the same time, Ian had already buffered his ultimate. Super well done. Crown doesn't want to flash early because he thinks, I've got Aftershock, I'll be all right, I'll be able to walk out. No, the last order gets Summon Airy to pick up the kill. You don't see that every day. And guess what? Beyond is there for local experience.
Level 6
level 6 from it. Just from the local experience of being around the kill. That's a nice moment for MVP.
You know, I was just calling for someone else on MVP to be a big carry and make a play. And, well, Ian shows up big time. Insta-cleanse and gets him underneath that turret.
Not a second too early with the Skarner that we've already said will heavily struggle in team fights. Now, if Azir gets ahead enough in items that he can actually do damage to Cho'Gath and the Galio in the front line, then perhaps that will be able to be the Skarner targets. But he needed to get the level 6 going. Earliest possible gank is successful. That bodes very well for MVP.
Ruler having his way down on the bottom side, but we've seen how the bottom lane doesn't really have too much action. But we'll see what can happen there in the future. Ian gonna come over here, get his blue buff, and return back to lane. Haru level 6, doesn't have his flash, but could look to make a play with that. The summoners are down here for Ian.
Question is where? Because mid lane, unless they can wombo CC the Azir all the way through, then the scoop on the Emperor's Divide will be able to answer most of that. Easy options are not there. He'd love to gank onto Pilot. But speaking of ganks.
Okay, Beyond's here, and well, see you later, Janna. That was about as easy as it looked. Gonna Abyssal Voyage and Impale for the easy kill onto Janna.
And the control ward around the brush shows you why there's that fun synergy between the Tahm, Kench, and the Skarner. We've seen Tahm, Kench, Skarner, and also previously Tahm, Kench, and Malzahar be very strong. The suppression coming out of the belly of the Tahm, Kench, and Ocean Drake in the laning phase is a nice reward as well.
Extremely nice here. 4-on-1 as Crown says, no, I'm not even going to get near that. And you said it before, KSV not good in the early game, famously. And, well, MVP taking as much advantage of that as possible, trying to get as many advantages here in the early game as possible.
If you're pointing, you got to say, Crown took an unnecessary all-in. He did not need to go for an aggressive trade. Then held onto his flash a long time.
Yeah.
And the cascading effect was all the advantages mid lane.
Oh, now Ian might be in a bit of trouble. Never mind, he's going to knock him out of there. And
that
Haru,
was beautiful.
That one turret hit extra might have gotten him the kill. He might even still go down as Ian doing that poke damage 2 levels up. Nicely done by Ian.
And just a great little moment. The Azir mechanics need to be complimented because he instantly disengages the Hextech ultimatum, and then he can just shuffle his way out with his E. Very nicely done by MVP as Ian showing up on the Azir in a way that he hasn't so far this season. It's his 9th performance on Azir, and by far his best in the early game.
Yeah, I mean, 2-6 on Azir so far. Looking for another win. Might not just be his Azir, you know, it's just overall struggles from the side of Ian, but looking to bolster those stats with some potential here. Haru having trouble with the Gromp, actually, has to go back home. So
things you don't expect to say about a jungler, 11 minutes.
Yeah.
This game is very finely poised. Seemed like KSV had a very straightforward comp that they could execute on. We were waiting for the pylon, the ultimatum into the hero's entrance. That one expertly disengaged. We mentioned that Azir is one of the most difficult champions to pull that combo off on, and long cooldowns now will take a while to amp up. An MVP. The Skarner was at such a risk of being a passenger in this game, but right now he's being active. The first ult worked, the second one.
Looking for it here, gonna dodge the taunt and interrupt the Justice Punch. Now they're looking for the Impale. They're gonna delay it as much as possible.
There's no one coming.
And Ornn even, as well as the entire bot lane, they're going for mid now.
They're going for the first brick in the mid lane. Love the timing here. Goodbye mid lane turret, and the MVP fans already know it's time to start the cheers because they are massively ahead in the early game.
MVP looking so good. Ian sitting 2-0-1 in the early game. MVP fans all cheering. They know what this means. MVP looking so good against our world champs.
That is 3 plays in a row where they've been ahead of the play, and Crown and the members of KSV have been woefully behind it. Every time something has happened in mid lane, even beyond being involved, it's been good stuff every single time. Love the roam. It looked like too many members. Remember Kongdu Monster looking for 5-man ganks with no extra objectives. The extra objective here was first brick. Crown knows nothing until he sees the aggressive shifting sand, and then he knows with no one anywhere near that he's completely burned.
Yeah, we've criticized Ian at times not being the most clean player, but tonight it looks like his confidence is there. He's known for playing very aggressive champions, and well, you can say a thing or two about his mechanics. They're on point tonight. He looks ready to go. Beyond now looking for another chance here. Doesn't have his Impale, but still waiting.
We saw CuVee step up in game 2, admittedly after a huge assist from his team to get him the breathing room to farm up on the Camille. Crown is the other side that we're looking for to show signs of life, and this is certainly not the performance to talk about that so far. The problem for KSV this season has been that neither CuVee nor Crown stepped up. I mentioned it early in game 1, but spring season, Haru and Crown popping off MVPs every game, top 4 between the two and MVP in the league MVP. Such was their domination for their team. CuVee got no MVPs that season. And then CuVee, with Ambition in the lineup, ended up being the most buffed up. Ambition and CuVee were able to engineer the downfall of a lot of teams. This season's been neither, and that's been the big problem, is that no one has been the bus driver. And game 2, CuVee able to eventually turn it on. CuVee just farming. Cho'Gath kind of limited in terms of what he can do to really swing a game. A picture-perfect silence, maybe that will be the thing as the game goes on, but certainly not a hard-carry champion like the Camille.
we haven't really gotten a chance to see what he can do, even. We haven't been looking at top lane all that much. But the first roam from ADD early on to help out with that nice play MVP pulled off.
Ian's feeling it.
Boy. As I said before, he is so confident, and he's got his team behind him too. The rest of them are going to rotate up with Abyssal Voyage, and another kill onto Haru. Haru and Crown, both 0 and 2, not feeling good this game.
Yeah, Haru is so surprised that play was made because they have double control ward in that brush. Single one just times out. They had so much control vision, they thought they could do this. Last second teleport is cancelled. Cancels the teleport, but now they keep the turret. They extend the life of the turret with a teleport cancel from ADD. They return to lane, and now Max can walk up and take extra poke. He's got the red buff to keep his health topped up.
MVP looking so good this game. Just have to wonder, where was this MVP a little bit earlier on? After in the early stages of this split, they were down 0 and 10 in game score, 0 and 5 in match score, but it took a bit. Maybe in summer they'll have a bit more chance to challenge playoffs, so we'll have to wait and see. Looking
if they get there,
so far.
If they get there, we should say there's no guarantee that MVP is still in the league come summer. If they do find themselves in the relegation spots, just to remind you guys, we do have a true relegation tournament after spring that's gone in EU, and of course NA has franchising, but there will be the standard promotion, and Griffin is 16-0 in challengers, and unlike CJ Entis, a lot of the analysts actually think they'll be able to be promoted, and Damwon Gaming, no easy team to beat either, so there is definitely talent in challengers right now looking to push up. In this game, though, we'll focus on it because MVP want to get as many wins. They'll be able to tie BBQ and Jinner at 4 and 8 if they can pick up the match win here.
Well, it's looking good so far. Ruler on the right side all by himself. Looks like he's got a Janna in there, but the Drake is going to go over to the Skarner. Now they're going in. They're going to catch Haru again. He's going to go down. The Galio, well, not enough to keep him alive, and now Crown getting low. These guys are way too fed, too far ahead. Is MVP. They pick up the Infernal, and they want more. They're going to bite off so much of this KSV team. Looking for CuVee. Gets the chomp down. The Grey Health comes in, and the Devour. They're going to give that kill even over to Max, and that is 3 kills in the Infernal for MVP.
Everything working for MVP, except they can't get the Baron. It hasn't spawned yet.
So might as well get the mid-tier too, I suppose. You're this far ahead, get whatever you can.
Perfect game may not be happening, but the MVP fans certainly aren't running out of things to cheer about. A charge onto an inhibitor turret at 16 minutes is something you so rarely see in professional play. Pilot picks up the minions. Even the bot lane is randomly fed this game after the roams. The most non-interactive laning phase. Ruler's 0-0-0, wondering what the hell happened this game.
Yeah.
The problem they have for KSV is this warrior enchant on the Camille, which is how you have to go in Camille jungle. She dies to accidental damage. She dies to AoE, and a couple of crits coming through from the AD carry Pilot, and then Ian rolls in. He's going to use every shifting sands aggressively. He's not scared of anyone on the side of KSV. We wondered why we never saw the Galio from the side of KSV. They just haven't been able to engineer anything at all good from the Galio in 2 games they've played.
MVP are being so proactive in general, just as a team, rotating for that mid-tier 1, and it's been all them initiating the fights afterwards with their lead. We're looking at a 4,000, 5,000 gold lead here at 17 minutes into the game. We thought this was going to be competitive in Game 3, especially after KSV fought back in Game 2. But this doesn't look like anything. This is even more one-sided than Game 1.
And the weird thing is, I look at this game and wonder, does Ian buy the Medjai's here? He's at 9 stacks on his corrupting potion. That would be...
Ian would be the guy to do.
Oh, he was the only one who hovered the... he went for the tactical hover in Champ Select. We know that ADD is a good guy. Meanwhile, Kings don't hover everything all the time.
Pretty much.
Ian's walking over, and he is ungodly fed, so they need to get the hell out of here. Haru needs to run away.
Beyond's just going to launch himself on a Ruler, who does Flash Arcane shift his way out of there. Now CuVee coming from behind. They went a little bit too far this time. Ian's going to be chopped down. Pilot trying to put on the plays. He is going to get that kill onto Ruler. And at least now Pilot's still alive. Haru and CoreJJ just want to back out of this one. Crown in a bit of trouble here. Wants to punch his way out, but gets devoured. That might just be the sacrificial kill, as there is no escape for the Gargoyle.
Yeah, the Azir goes down, so the Magi's Dream is probably dead, but still with how much gold they have loaded on the entire team, because everyone has a kill here for MVP. They go too aggressive, they will still get the structure that they want, which represents the outer top lane turret. Still no Baron to turn on. This game feels like it's been going on forever. If you're MVP, you just want to get a Baron at any time in the game. 0-4-1 in the first 20 minutes. That's the first time I've seen the target of the Galio ultimate die before he actually managed to hit the ground, because he ulted so late onto his ally there. Ruler finally gets his first kill involvement, not feeling great about it. You see the theory behind the Janna, because it was very good in lane against a melee champion, just walk up and W. And then also, it was the Ardent Sensor to apply it to the entire team. And if Haru had 4 kills with Ardent Sensor, we're talking good things. Right now, obviously, the good thing's gone. Is I noticed your tactical pointing, as that is some real aggression shown in item, but Ian just pops over and buys Ludens on patch 8.3. Yeah. Another item that is going to be seeing very significant changes. So old Ludens gets his last go on the Rift in Korea.
Yep, pouring one out for the old Ludens, giving him a chance to shine on the Rift. He's far enough ahead.
He's real fast now also. Yeah, no movement speed on the new Ludens. This Ludens makes you real fast.
Do they go 20-minute Baron here? That would be very MVP-esque. They're certainly
very suspicious. This is definitely one that's going to be scouted out. Ornn doesn't have teleport, so he's going to have to start walking up. They start the Baron. This is definitely one that KSV should see coming.
They should, but they're taking it very slow. Coming
they need to hurry up.
3,000, 2,000, 1,000. See you later, Baron. As it's way too late on the engage. KSV just going to give that one away, unfortunately. Haru, no shot. Flashes the wall as he cannot get out of there, so... Not looking good. 20-minute Baron here against KSV. MVP is running away with this one.
Yeah, it was just a free Baron. Nothing else to say. Not even a Leandri. It's not even the most damage you can do to the Baron from Ian, but doesn't matter. They go back, they shop. Caitlyn super far ahead.
Ian Kench has certainly been unbenched. 3-0-4.
He's gone righteous
picking
glory.
Picking up 3 kills for himself.
He has righteous glory. He's only going for the aggressive devours this game.
Yeah.
Max finding his inner troll, but via an item.
Yeah, MVP certainly has a...
They have 3 righteous glories.
Yeah.
They're just turbo. This Skarner, the most turbo. They're looking for a kill on Haru.
Nobody escapes from this composition.
Actually, they can't kill Haru. They don't know he's there.
Yeah, looking for CuVee here. Oh, ADD finds him. Maybe a bonus kill here. As they certainly want to get onto him. CuVee's going to die. That Cho'Gath pick, not looking so good now when you're this far behind. Haru trying to escape from this one. He certainly has an option to on that Camille, but
meanwhile,
we'll see.
Ruler is like, I don't know what you guys are up to.
Oh boy, he's already critting. Okay, doesn't even need to have the ace in the hole as he goes down. 3-0-5 is Pilot, feeling good on his 3rd game of Caitlyn in a row.
We were definitely talking about the question mark pings earlier. This is the one where Ruler maybe would have to hold himself back and just say, okay guys, I'm taking the top lane turret, don't know what's happening elsewhere. Not reading the kill feed, going for the steal.
Nice. Good read there from MVP. Just waited a slight tad there right before DPSing it down and smiting.
I wonder how many people it takes to kill Ian. He's incredibly far ahead in this game.
Yeah.
He is up 4,000 gold on his opponent. Everyone's having a party.
I remember in the spring split of 2017 when I was casting these guys, they were doing well. They certainly had an amount of swag on them, right? ADD was playing weird stuff. Max was playing weird stuff. Ian also loved to play the aggressive things. And it's just, they haven't had much success. But you can see the reason why there are so many fans of MVP still after all these seasons where they haven't had much success. These guys love to pull out the weird picks and make them work.
And that means so much, because you think about teams who haven't made much of an impression in the LCK. You think of Kongnu Monster and Spenu in previous seasons. They didn't really have something about them. MVP would always play a pick comp. They would always go for Barons, and they're just taking anyone. Who's going to die this time?
They're just bullying Crown at this point, man. Feels bad, man, as he's going to go down. Haru dies again. They're both 0-5 in this game, I believe.
Oh, dear.
Someone called the bully police. MVP just a little bit too angry right now. Pushing on in to that inhibitor as they look to push it in as much as possible. It's 14-1 at 23 minutes into this game. MVP making KSV look like a challenger team in Game 3.
They're just shellacking them. It's a dumpstering by MVP in Game 3, and they were ahead in Game 1. They won it. They were ahead in Game 2. A nice creative Baron from KSV got them back in, and you feel like if that Baron never happened, the series might already be over, Valdez. But it's KSV, okay. Opportunistic. They win Game 2, surely. The world champions were all in Game 3. No, it's the same. Just not good enough play for them. I had to self-censor there. And specifically, Haru is just free food. He just dies incidentally. It's another Trinity Force from behind, which I'm just tilted about at this
Warrior
point.
into Trinity Force.
He doesn't do anything. He just dies to a gust of wind. Tahm Kench will solo him. Seriously.
He would
solo him.
He would.
It's just rubbish from KSV. They are the world champions.
I've never heard you say that before on a broadcast.
It's just rubbish.
Rubbish. The official word coming in from Papa.
How can your mid lane and jungle be 0-10 in 24 minutes?
I don't know. It's confident play from MVP, but it's also straight up bad play from KSV. They're not playing like the world champions, and we don't really know what's going on. Why is the slump this way? We don't have the questions, or we don't have the answers, rather, to those questions.
And Beyond just wants another kill. Let's kill Galio again. Hooray!
Let's get Crown again. Let's make him 0-6. Not quite, but maybe in the future.
He actually had his ult cancelled by the Justice Punch. He really wanted it.
Yeah. Well, looking for some plays here. MVP kind of just playing with their food at this point. It's only 25 minutes into the game, guys.
It's the longest 25-minute game ever.
There's just been so much action. It's not your normal 8.3. It's a good way to close out 8.3 in LCK, even though it is that shellacking you guys always talk about. It's sad feels for KSV, but a good way to end the patch.
Roller almost died accidentally over the wall as this inhibitor. Goodbye.
Accidentally. Didn't mean to be there, standing against those sand soldiers. Second inhibitor goes down, MVP. They have to be really happy with this one. Just making it look super easy.
As a caster, you want to really hype up storylines. That's the whole thing. You don't want to create narratives, but you want to celebrate them because that's the fun thing that everyone can handle. Not everyone knows League of Legends, but beating the world champions means something in any sport, right? You beat the world champions. How epic is that? It doesn't matter to beat KSV anymore. It's not an accomplishment. They are not a good enough team in 2018 to hold that level of reverence because this has been the reality. They've won some games, but we see this so often and we wonder, where is the calculated team of the past? Where is any of the synergy between the members? They've changed nothing about the roster. And you wanted to celebrate that and say it's the first World Championship lineup that did not change their roster. How awesome is that? Apparently pretty not awesome, Valdez, because they're looking unlikely to even make it to playoffs.
And you really have to question the process. How did they get here? The first match that KSV had, it was 2-0ing Kingzone. It was Rascal in the top lane, yes. But it's still that Kingzone team that's in first, even with Rascal playing. We're going to have more bullying here in this game, guys. Crowd disappears. Unbelievable. Haru going to go down. Ian is just way too fed along with Pilot. They're going to just wrap everyone up. They're going to bury them in the ground now as CoreJJ may go down here. Haru finally finds a way out of a fight, decides he doesn't want to die again, doesn't want to go 1-6 in this one. Pilot says, hey, what's up? I'm legendary. Picks up a third kill in a row. That's going to be the end of the game. 27 minutes. It looked like Longju, or the Kingzone, not MVP. They show up big and make it look easy in game number 3. A quick end to the series that we thought might go a bit later. Ian showing off the PM in the pit there. Gotta hand it to him. He deserved it after that game.
We'll let the fans do the talking. The squeals of the fans come through. They deserve to celebrate. Wonderful performance from MVP. We have not seen a performance from MVP this level since they were top 5 in spring season 1 year ago. Only suffering for them until very recently. They went 0-10 to start the season. In that same time, KSV were flying high. They were looking like one of our best teams. It seemed obvious they would make it to the spring final, but it seems like their early wins are just camouflaging how much losing they are doing recently. They don't look like anywhere near the team they need to be. Big celebrations. Pilot continues to be undefeated in matches, 3 matches in a row. The better team won the series by far. It would have been very unfortunate to lose in game 3. But to understand KSV's struggles, how can we know, Valdez? We only can see what we see on the outside, but what we see on the outside is not good enough, and that is not to attack any of the players. It's just that how did it get to this? How did it get to this point? The lowest ebb that KSV may ever be in, losing to MVP, looking worse in all 3 games. And it doesn't seem like there's an exit plan unless 8.4 brings them something new, because on paper, Valdez, 8.4 is a nerf to KSV's old playstyle.
Yep.
I hope they found a new one. They need to get on those message boards because the current one is not working.
They need time to go to the drawing board and figure out what's going wrong here, because it's always fun to celebrate the stomp and MVP looking fantastic in the game for sure, but all those sad faces just makes you a little bit sad yourself when you look at KSV. Nobody understands, nobody can figure it out. This is the last fight, as it's just, it's like the solo game where you surrender at 15 minutes at this point.
Caitlyn 2-shot at Galio.
Yeah.
That is already insane, and the Abyssal Voyage into the 2 Nexus turrets to end the game. MVP, very well-deserved win. They are now equal in match score after starting 0-5 with BBQ and Jin Air, and they're going to make the great escape from relegations again if they keep playing like this.
That they will, looking better and better. It was basically, it wasn't MVP versus KSV, it was Ian versus Pilot, who could do more damage. In the end, it was Ian getting ahead by 99 damage to win the damage war. Very, very one-sided, 27-minute game. At this point, where do you even rank KSV? Rocks Tigers looking a lot better than them. SKT definitely looked more solid in their win over Jin Air earlier tonight. It's rough. Maybe they don't even make playoffs. They got to turn something around, and they don't have a lot of time to do it.
The KSV of today are better than at most 2 teams in the LCK. They are not a top 5 team. They are so far from it. Many teams, many tier lists ahead. They're basically, feels like the second tier list from the bottom. You definitely say Kongdu Monster. Everything else can be counter-argued against KSV. Really, really interesting, and I'd love to see them come out of it. I'd love to see the world champions strong again, contesting and being able to fit the crown, fit the title that is at their feet. But this KSV we saw today was just not good enough, Valdez.
It definitely was not. We'll see what they have in store for us next time they play. I'm curious to look at the schedule and see who they're going up against, because if they can't even pull it together for a 3-game series against MVP, then who are they going to have success against? They get 6 wins. That might be the end of their wins here in spring. Let's take a look at the MVP as we try to celebrate MVP's win here a little bit. The MVP of MVP, who's it going to be? Ian. No surprise there.
I mean, Ian and Beyond had a field day, feasting on Haru and Crown throughout the early game.
Something has awakened inside me. That's what it says at the top, and certainly looked that way on the Azir in that game.
If this is the demon Ian, I'd love to see it more, because he had a killer instinct. His outplays, the KDA definitely doesn't do justice how well he played this game. He and Beyond were unbelievable in the early game. We love the team comp from KSV. They couldn't execute it, and the game snowballed to high heavens off largely the back of Ian.
He looks so good in this one. Gets his 2nd MVP in total. It's another 4-3-6. I think that's the exact scoreline that Bang had on his MVP in the first game that SKT won. But either way, guys, we're going to hand it over to the interview. I'll let Ji-sun do the translating.
MVP가 오늘 승리를 가져가게 됐습니다. 깜짝 픽 그리고 펜타킬 거기다 힘겨웠던 2세트까지 오늘 MVP 선수들 할 이야기가 참 많을 것 같은데요. 그 선수들의 이야기를 직접 들어보시죠.
Please welcome the main characters of today's series. It's Ed and Ian from MVP. Congratulations. You guys have such a great fans. So everyone's so hyped about your performance today. Even your global fans are so hyped. How do you Well, it has been a while for me to play this well, just like today. Well, I wasn't feeling well today, but thankfully I performed so great, so I think it paid off. I think on the way coming to the next arena in Gangnam Station, I think something went wrong with me in the car. So I was feeling a little bit sick, but I think it was my best performance by far.
갑자기 그 아픔이 나왔다라는 얘기가 있을 정도로 아주 멋진 장면이 있었고 그 덕분에 이번 스플릿 들어서 이제 첫 번째 MVP.
So it's your first MVP interview of the split. How do you feel? So it's my first interview as an MVP, and one of my goals was to have an interview with you, Songcaster. So I feel so honored right now.
오늘 멋진 장면을 한번 보여줬고 이안 선수도
So moving on to Ian.
사실 진짜 좋은 장면이 많았었어요. 특히나
There were so much great performance from you today.
오늘은 완전 주인공이고 아예 3세트는
I can say you are the main character of today's series. How was today's match? I was feeling so well before going into game today. I couldn't just handle my energy. So I think in the game, I threw once, but yeah, anyway, I was feeling so well.
사진 컨디션이 일단 저희가 그 딜 많이 나왔었을 때 컨디션은 일단 이 어깨 포즈 이게 있었고 그리고 아까 전에
And I especially like the picture when we were announcing your MVP. Your hands on your face.
좀 그렇네요.
아니 좋았어요. 너무 그런 걸 초연덕스럽게 해가지고 그때 무슨 주문이었길래 그 사진 찍을 때.
Why did you make that poster?
네.
Well, I want to show some demon Ian inside of me. I prefer that one, but I think I don't look good in the picture.
좋고 사진도 상당히 나름대로 매력이 있었던 아주 멋진 장면들이 나왔는데요. 사실 그 먼저 스웨인 얘기를 안 할 수가 없는 게
So we have to mention about Swain, right? Swain is back in LCK, and it has been a while. The last time it was picked in LCK was picked by Ian.
경기 자체가 야 진짜 자기네들이 풀고 자기네들이 먹고 자기네들 푸는구나 뭐 이런 얘기 있었는데 뭐 어떤 내용들이 있었어요?
So what kind of plan did you guys try to bring to the series?
우연히 한번 써보게 되었는데 이제 생각보다 이제 성적이 괜찮아요.
Well, actually, I accidentally used Swain once, but I got good results. So I started to practice on it, and I felt like I can win any other champions with Swain. So yeah, I started to more experience on it, and I think it's a really good champion.
남들이 다 아니라고 할 때 그걸 하는가? 거기에 대한 내용이 있었거든요. 스웨인은 어디서 이렇게 촉을 얻게 된 거예요?
보통은 이제
What are the strong points of him?
추천을 하거나 아니면 이제 풍문으로 뭐가 좋다, 뭐가 괜찮다 하는 거 이제 찾아서.
So I just heard some of the rumors that Swain is a really good champion. So I tried some experiments, and I realized that it's really good to use in competitive plays.
터키, 브라질 한 번씩 나오고 나머지는 아예 언급도 안 됐더라고요. 근데 어떻게 이거는 얘기를 좀 들은 거예요?
스웨인은 그냥 제가 좋아하는 스킬 구성이라서.
Well, first of all, Swain has a great skill shots that I prefer, so I just started to play it.
상당히 남달랐던 것 같은데 1세트 아주 멋진 장면들 많았잖아요.
Then
거기 굶기고 들어오는 순간부터
what can be the highlights from the first set? Do you remember all of those?
보여드릴게요.
Then let's check out the clips.
요건 어때? 기억나요?
Do you remember this one?
그래서 이제 제가 뒤를 잡아가지고.
Yeah, I was focusing in the back line so we could win the team fight.
올라오는 그 포스가 남달랐어요.
스웨인이 또 리메이크되고 이제.
After Swain's remake, it looks much more cooler in appearance. So yeah, I think it was really cool.
장면 말고도 좋은 장면들이 상당히 고르기가 어려울 정도로 상당히 멋진 장면들이
So it was a great performance on Swain from Ad.
3세트 얘기를 좀 이어서 넘겨보도록 하겠습니다.
Then moving on to the third game, you pick Azir on the mid lane.
느껴지기도 했었거든요. 어때? 선택할 때 뭐 충분히 얘기가 잘 됐었나요?
What kind of plan did you try to bring into games? There were some possible plans available, but I wanted to go a little bit safe, so I picked Azir.
근데 안전한 픽을 했다는 것 치고는 진짜 초반부터 파괴적이었거든요.
Well, you did pick it for safety, but I think you played it very aggressively.
멋진 장면들. 계획대로 너무나 잘 됐던 것 같은데 오늘 뭔가 용이 끌어올랐어요?
Did you have good feelings before you started the game? Yeah, I think I had some good feelings. And I just could make an advantage of enemies' mistakes. And also great bag of play from my jungler was awesome.
네, 어쨌든 그만큼 굉장히 멋진 장면들이 있습니다. 바로 그 장면 다시 한번 정리해드리죠.
So then let's take a look at the clip.
세트 최고의 플레이인데. 아 이거죠 이거.
This was the moment, right?
예. 이거였죠?
당연하죠.
그리고 여기서 딱 올라오면서 깊게 들어가는 장면 하나 잡고 여기서 레벨 업이 막 6레벨 되자마자 꿰뚫기가 딱 들어갔죠.
It was a nice engagement of you and Beyond.
본인도 시작했었고 비욘드 선수와 너무 좋은 합이 있었고 이 장면.
And this is the last team fight.
여기서 쭉쭉 올라가는 장면들이 있었거든요. 거의 마지막 전투인데. 어땠어요?
So how was today's game?
팀원들이 너무 좋은 각을 만들어줘서
I think our teammates were doing so well to open the team fight, so it was easy for me to do the damage.
좋은 장면들이 많았었는데 오늘 사실 특히 1세트도 마찬가지고 3세트도 마찬가지입니다만 MVP 선정에 좀 어려움을 겪었던 이유가 하나 더 있습니다.
And today it was really hard to pick one MVP from today's series because we had a player who made a pentakill today. Congratulations.
아 그래요. MVP는 두 명이지만 오늘의 주인공은 한 명이네요. 자 오늘의 주인공 이야기 좀 나눠보겠습니다.
So let's have a talk with Pilot.
아 우리 제가 알기로는 펜타킬 벌써 한 3번 정도 하신 것 같은데.
So I heard that it's your third pentakill.
롤챔프 뛰면서 펜타키를 좀 많이 하긴 했어요.
네네.
Yes, since I played in LCK, I have made quite a lot of pentakills, but today I actually didn't expect to have one, but our teammates helped me, so yeah, I was lucky to get that.
1세트는 펜타킬 나왔는데 MVP 못 받기도 쉽지가 않은데.
Weren't you sad that you couldn't get the MVP even though you got the pentakill?
첫 번째 경기는 그냥 제가 무난하게 끄고 있어서
Well, the first set, I was scaled fairly well, so I knew that we're gonna win in the late games. So yeah, I felt very comfortable during the games.
4명 잡고
And at the moment that I got pentakill,
공을 썼는데 아 이거는 먹었다 이러고 있어요.
I ulted on Rakan, but sadly, he just survived in very low health.
그래가지고 얘들아 제발 좀 도와줘.
So I asked my teammates to get my pentakill, so my teammates helped me out. So I was lucky to pick that up.
펜타킬에는 역시 그 MVP의 뭐랄까요? 그 팀워크 이런 것도 빛을 발하는 것 같은데 많은 분들께서 또 그것도 궁금해요.
And the breaking news says as the
아니면 MVP 들어오면서 안 좋게 된 거예요?
main character of today, Pilot on pentakill.
이번에 그 라식 수술 해가지고 좋아졌는데
네.
MVP 팀 컨셉이 안경이라서
And I really feel like
다니고 있습니다.
part of MVP by wearing these glasses.
팀 컬러 팀워크를 위해서
To maintain our team color,
알고 있었어요. 라식이 눈 좋은데.
I just wear my glasses even though my eyesights are good.
네.
그 위에 이제 들어오고 라식을 한 거.
아 일단 그러면 알고 있었네. 아 그런데 어떻게 보면 그 희생이잖아요 팀워크를 위해서.
So it's a sacrifice from Pilot, you know. He did have the LASIK surgery, but he's still wearing glasses to be a real part of MVP.
사실 그 많은 분들께서 그 궁금증이 있더라고요. 케이틀린을 연달아 이렇게 골랐잖아요.
And you picked 3 Caitlyn in a row.
좀 예고되고 있는 상황이라서 아 이거 어떤
How much confident were you on Caitlyn?
그냥 케이틀린이 하고 싶었어요.
I just wanted to play her. I just wanted to pick Caitlyn.
하고 싶을 때
어제부터 그냥 말씀드렸어요.
Since yesterday, I just told my coaching staff that
케이틀린 할게요.
I think I'm gonna have great connection with Caitlyn tomorrow, so I'm just gonna play it.
아 그래서 그런지 아주 멋진 장면들이 나왔던 것 같습니다. 야, 세 명의 선수가 모였으니까 모인 김에 저희가 시청자 질문도 바로 갈게요.
And moving on, we have a question from your fans.
바로 이 질문입니다. 정말 전문적인 질문.
What is your favorite late night snack?
저녁 메뉴는 무엇일까요? 라는 시청자 질문입니다.
피자.
피자?
Pizza.
아, 브랜드는
I prefer.
설만 갈까요?
토메이로. 네네.
I like tomato pizza.
메이저 브랜드가 아니라
It's not a really famous menu.
그거죠. 티
피자도 가끔 먹어요.
티 피자 괜찮잖아요.
And we also prefer pizzas from the T brand.
뭔지 알아요. 티 피자 중에 메뉴 뭐 좋아해요?
And which one? Which menu?
우빈이 형이 하와이안 피자 좋아해가지고.
Max likes Hawaiian pizza.
하와이안 피자와 이제 고구마 피자는 사도라고 얘기하시는 분들이 계시거든요.
Well, you know, but there are some people who hate Hawaiian pizza, right? I want to tell them that Hawaiian pizza is really good.
아니 하와이안 피자 맛있다는 거에 이렇게 영광하려고 있습니까? 생각이 들지만 어쨌든 오늘 경기력 좋으니까 이렇게 세 명의 선수와 좀 이야기를 나눠봤습니다. 그리고 저희가 매번 이제 선물을 준비하고 있는데
And we always prepare a present for the MVPs, you know.
에드는 전 세계 스웨인 팬들에게 열광을 이끌어냈다면 이한 선수가
Today we prepared a present especially for Ian.
자, 잡아봐요.
So hold it.
이게 뭐냐면 네, 램이래요.
So this is a towel with his favorite Japanese animation character on it.
구체적으로 설명드리기가 좀 어렵습니다. 사실 그 덕을 쌓아 나가는 과정은 세 종류가 있거든요. 애초에 덕이 나으신 분들은 선덕이라고 하고요.
So it's a character called Rem,
공덕이라는 표현을 쓰는데
and she is his favorite character from the animation.
분명히 이한 선수가 좋아할 것 같아서 선물을 드렸는데
I hope you like it. Thank you very much.
고맙습니다. 선물이니까 여러분 잘 받으시길 바라겠습니다. 자 이제 오늘 뭐 멋진 경기를 펼치면서 이제 팬 여러분들의 그 열광을
So
불러일으키게 됐는데
here you got so many fans out here to support you. Last message.
일단 오늘 경기가 엄청 중요했는데 이겨서
It was a really important match for us, so I feel a little bit relieved to win today, and we're gonna prepare perfectly for our upcoming match.
이어서 에드 선수
오늘 이제 경기를 치르고 바로 2일에 본섭
So in 2 days,
락스와 경기가 남아 있는데
there will be 8.4 patch, and we're gonna have a match against Rock Tigers. So we don't have enough time, but we're gonna make sure to adapt to the new meta and play in great performance. Thank you.
이 컨디션 그대로 딱 이제 좋은 컨디션으로 해서
I'm gonna make sure to maintain this form,
점 쌓고
and
쌓아서 좋은 순위로 남고 싶네요.
we're gonna make a great result in the end of the split.
만족스러운 대답까지 들어봤습니다. 자, 오늘
So
MVP
this was a very festive interview from MVPs, and
이별을 나눈 듯한
this will be the end of the interview of today from MVP with Pilot, Ed, and Ian. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Ji-sun, for the translation. Oh, okay. That was the wrong highlight. We're jumping into game 3 highlights.
We have to keep our 12 rating. We censored the first clip. We couldn't show that. It was a little bit too racy. As killing someone with summoner area, especially a Galio, as tanky as can be, is not often you see. Beyond was so excited because he got his ultimate from the local experience. 2 kills started, and you would have thought the KSV would stabilize, but suddenly the Skarner went bot lane. Suddenly the mid lane was just a killing field for Ian and Beyond again and again, just rolling through Crown and Haru. The proud KSV World Champions were so far second best in this series in a way we couldn't expect. Loved the little macro move from MVP to come mid lane, and then just happened again and again. The scene of the crime. Basically every time there was a grouping threat, MVP took a lead, and that means that KSV were very quickly dispatched. The last team fight of the game. Watch how fast Galio dies was kind of the subtext.
Well, I think the one thing that KSV could actually take positively from this series is, yes, they lost, but it's a big wake-up call. SKT themselves went down 1-2 against MVP, and eventually, after losing to FLICKR, they came back and they went on a big winning streak. So maybe KSV goes back home, they're like, wow, we really suck. We need to practice.
Crown got 2-shot by a headshot crit and a second auto. He was that far behind. With Zonius too, he had some armor. I agree with you, Valdez, and you might wonder why I've been so verbose here about KSV struggles, because we've seen this from them again and again, and even though the meta is set up for them, they haven't looked any better. Their wins, they have also looked a step off the pace, and they seem a step behind so many teams now in Korea that we, on the one hand, will complement the rise of teams like MVP in the second half of the season, but we need to know more about why KSV is struggling. They have to hope that 8.4 is their last bastion of hope. I'm not so sure.
Let's take a look at the standings here so we can get a feel. KSV, they dropped down to tied for 5th. The same as SKT, 6-6 with a 0 indicator score. So definitely need to get some wins if they want to make it into playoffs. It's really competitive this time with the addition of the Rocks Tigers. Generally, it was all the other teams that were in, but now the Rocks Tigers playing so good, it just takes one spot away from the top 5 that we're used to.
And we're speaking of spots, same story for probably the second relegation spot. 3 teams at 4 and 8, 3 teams that can beat each other on their day. MVP clearly have a game score disadvantage. It's very difficult for them to overcome the 0-10 start to the season. But bless their hearts, they're going to try. They're definitely going to try to avoid getting into the relegation battle. They've never been there since they debuted in the LCK. So BBQ, Jin-Air, and MVP all in the same position, trying to avoid joining Kongdu Monster, who are not mathematically guaranteed to be in relegations, but based on their recent play, seem very, very likely.
Yeah. So we're not fully done with the season. We have 1/3 left. There's 6 more games for each of these teams to still play. So there's still time. You will see the end of Week 6, the end of 8.3, ends with MVP actually upsetting KSV, making it not look like an upset. I'm more curious about the next week to see what KSV's next challenge is and how they're thinking about that game.
And I hope we see KSV rise. I want to be the first person there to congratulate them when they turn around their current struggles. I've just seen no signs of it. That's why I need to be front row also, to really pile on, and I'm sure KSV players are feeling the same sort of pressure from their coach and their support staff next week. We start off with a banger on just the first day of the week on Sunday. SK Telecom T1 versus Kingzone, and it only gets better than that. SKT have a rough week. Kingzone into KT Rolster. The Thursday match day is one of the best in recent memory.
Yeah,
SKT versus KT, and then a FLICKR versus Rocks, a playoff matchup as well. That is a hype week of League of Legends here in Korea.
I'll be glued to my monitor as you guys over at OGN are going to be casting that one. KSV's next match is going to be BBQ. So another team that's down there in the bottom of the barrel that they should be able to beat on paper, but it's another challenge for them. They need to prove it to us that they're good enough to beat BBQ at this point.
And KSV can certainly go 4-0 this week. They can beat KT Rolster if it is the KSV we saw in the first 2 weeks, if it's KSV adapting to a new patch well. But both those things seeming so unlikely with what we've seen on the Rift today.
Yeah, so an eventful day. We went 6 games. I think it was the first or second time we've done that over at SpoTV. I know you're no stranger to long days, Papa.
I enjoyed it. Look, there was a lot to enjoy. The last game was a bit of a browbeater for KSV fans, but still an exciting day. We saw Swain today, for goodness sake, on patch 8.3. Vedius, I'm watching you. You weren't talking about 8.3 Swain. You were talking about 8.4 Swain. He's way better than. The game will change. The items around it will change. But what will happen from here? 3 weeks left. You said 2/3 done. This last third, it could mean anything. There's really so many different chances for teams to move up and down. We still don't know anywhere near how this will all end.
Yeah, so we're getting close, but we're not just done yet. And that's going to be it for us, guys. Thank you once again for watching. We love you. See ya. Good night.
네, 점점 더 열기가 뜨거워지고 있는 2018 LCK 스프링 스플릿. 오늘의 두 번째 대결 KSV와 MVP의 경기는 MVP의 승리로 끝이 났습니다. 이 KSV는 오늘의 패배로 상위권 진입에는 약간 주춤하는 모습을 보이게 됐는데요. KSV의 강점인 단단한 플레이를 되찾는다면 다시 한번 상위권 진입을 향한 멋진 모습을 보여줄 수 있지 않을까 생각이 됩니다. 그럼 저는 다음 주 화요일 4시 50분 더욱더 멋진 경기로 돌아오도록 하겠습니다. 함께해 주신 여러분 고맙습니다.